Again, these are going to be short reviews and reviewing strategy to get the right answer. So we're going to multiply with polynomials, and these are our objectives. And here we have a monomial times a trinomial, and we're just going to distribute to each of the terms. And here they're showing you the negative 4x with each of the terms in there. Normally you don't do this. You would do this part mentally, and then you end up with your answer. So this is pretty straightforward. Now, one of the things we're going to be doing rather soon is we're going to have this trinomial right here in red, and we're going to say factor out the greatest common factor. And you might say, well, what can I take out of this first term? And a numerical part out of each of the terms. Or you might say they have a common factor of 4. Yes, and you see it right up here. And suppose we say take out a negative lowest common factor. Well, you would take out a negative 4x out of each term, and you'd end up with something like this in its factored form. So what we're building you up for here is, right now we're multiplying, but very soon in the future we're going to be factoring things like this, so you end up with that. Now notice the multiplication is sort of the easiest part, because you just are following what you are told to do. Here there's a little creative part in that what is the greatest common factor in each one. And of course we'll be treating that as a subject as we go on in future lessons. Alright, now this is a binomial times a binomial. Now a lot of you are going to say, well, this is where we're going to FOIL, and foiling is going to be a very important topic again very shortly. But there's also the traditional way of doing this, which is to take the first member of the first binomial and multiply it by the second binomial. That's what they're showing here. Then you take the second member of the first binomial and multiply it by the second binomial. And that's what they're doing here. And then you're going to distribute, which is what they're showing. Usually we do this stage mentally. Get this. And now notice there are like terms in the middle. So you're going to, again, combine just the numerical part, and you end up with a trinomial. Now let's pause here again to see where we are going in the future. Well, here we have a trinomial. We want to factor this trinomial, which is a product of this, back into its binomial factors, if there are any. And of course we saw what we did, and we're going to later be able to take this and, in a sense, kind of go backwards to get this. So that's what's coming in the future, and you want to prepare how you do the multiplication, which is rather straightforward, to the creative process of factoring this back to the binomial factors. Now, another way of multiplying polynomials is to line them up vertically. And I would suggest anytime you have a trinomial times a binomial, you do it vertically. So what we're going to do is take this first term here, 3 times 2 gives you the 6, a positive 3, a negative 3y, a negative 9y. 3 times this is 21y squared. Okay. Now, as you do your next row, you're going to take your 2y, multiply it by 2. That gives you 4y. You want to put it under the like term column. And then this times this becomes y squared, negative 6. Put it in the like term column, and then you just add up your results. Again, this is a technique to get the correct answer. Now, in doing a trinomial, we do it pretty much the same way. One trinomial, the other trinomial. Now we're going to take this positive 1 and multiply it by each of these terms. Now notice 1 times this top line just gives you the top line. Now we're going to take this next line, negative 3x times this gives us a positive 3x that we put right underneath. This times this gives us a negative 9x squared that we put underneath. And then this times this gives us this. Now for our third line, we take it and multiply it by each term. Again, putting our results, our products, in the like vertical columns here. And now it's just a matter of adding them up. And again, I would put a 1 there and a 1 there just to help me make the calculation. Now when you do an answer and there's only a 1, we don't write it in our answer. Notice these canceled out. And let's just review. What is the degree of this expression? And if you said 4, that is correct. What is the leading coefficient? Well, it would be the 1 that would be in front of the x to the 4th. Okay, now every once in a while you're going to get something like this where there are 3 sets of binomials. So what do? Well, you do 2 of them, and that gives you this, that you're going to combine like terms, and you have this. So now multiplying these 2 together, you have this trinomial. Now you're going to take this trinomial and multiply it by the last binomial, which is what they're showing here. Now you could do it horizontally. I would prefer to do it vertically. The answers come out the same. Okay, another short lesson. Here are a few, but you'll have yours in practice and certify. So, want to work on these? Fine. And there are the answers.